It was 1974 when we brought Gene Youngblood to give a talk at the University of Michigan for an experimental, somewhat crazy program called Future Worlds. Gene's book, Expanded Cinema, was out, and anybody into film and media or this newly emerging video, it was like the Bible. It's an amazing book. And so we brought him to speak about the future. It was in the largest auditorium, Hill Auditorium, University of Michigan, 4,000 people, and I believe it was essentially full. When Gene started talking, I think we all expected him to recap this book, Expanded Cinema. But what he was talking about was something very different. He used phrases like the National Information Utility and proposed this idea, this protocol that blew us all away. And I think I can speak collectively on this because we really were blown away and talked about it for a long time afterwards. The single most amazing part that blew us away is back in 1974, computers were considered libraries in boxes, at best. I don't believe it was for another 10 years after 1974 that I started hearing, like it was part of the vernacular, computers are about connecting people. That didn't exist really in 1974. Now, Gene didn't describe crowdsourcing in 1974, but he did describe the idea of a network, and that it had to be a utility. It had to happen on a national and international and structural level. Nobody that I knew had heard that before, so this was extremely important. At Hill Auditorium is a beautiful three-tiered wooden concert hall, and we were bringing in heavyweights for anybody interested in the future, and we had C.F. Skinner and Margaret Mead and edge people like Hunter Thompson and Carl Sagan. So the stage was automatically set for something heavy to happen, It depended on, how far the speaker would want to up the ante in an environment like this. And, Gene aced it out by saying, this is going to affect us all. This is the future of the world. This is about the survival of the planet.
My name is Gene Youngblood, and rather than tell you who I am, I think I'll just talk and then you'll know more, at least what I've been working on. This talk, which I'm going to sort of outline in just a second here, is from a book that deals with, in a very comprehensive way, I hope, the idea of communications and social evolution. I want to try to make the point as clearly as I can that what we need to do in this country, and in fact in all advanced industrial nations, is to have a national information utility. This would be a utility like any other gas, water, electricity, and so on. The main difference being that the services or goods or vital necessity that this utility would provide to the public would be access to information specified by the user and access to communications channels controlled by the user.
The technical part has to do with considering these technologies as components of a national information utility. They are cable communication networks, or what most people know as cable TV, portable video recording equipment, or what most people now know as portapacks, program retrieval systems, that is, video cassette and video disc players, remote access computer utilities, or time-shared computers, domestic communication satellites, planet analysis or resource satellites, and finally what you might call new information display systems for the home. Taken as components of a single integrated whole system, they have the potential of completely inverting the organizing principle now embodied in the structure and function of the mass media. That is the principle of centralized, one-way, mass audience, non-adaptive, perceptual imperialist message distribution, as it is manifest in the structure and function of television, radio, newspapers, and the cinema. The National Information Utility embodies an organizing principle which is exactly the inverse of the industrial organizing principle. Rather than centralized one-way mass audience, non-adaptive perceptual imperialist message distribution, this principle is one of decentralized, two-way, special audience, user-controlled, perceptually adaptive feedback communication systems. It is in effect a cybernetic system which can allow conscious control of our socio-cultural evolution. Because of the profound implications and impact of these tools on the present system, their continued development in a sort of a laissez-faire entrepreneurial manner may have very serious consequences, and therefore the national information utility must be supported by public funds and operated as a common carrier public utility. Whereas now the user of the mass media is considered the passive receiver of industry's output, and therefore the mass media cultivate demand for output, which gives them authority to cultivate more demand. An inversion of that would be where the user of a decentralized two-way special audience user-controlled system, the user would be seen as one subset of the set of all possible classes of input. Our perception of what is possible is shaped by our perception of alternative models. By inverting the industrial organizing principle, by surrounding ourselves with the kind of value systems to which we subscribe, for the first time then, aesthetics and politics coming very closely together through user-controlled information environments and user-controlled aesthetic models of alternative ways of making the world work and alternative material and cultural realities. And then conducting dialogues and arriving at consensus on these various alternative propositions. It seems to me that one of the most profound aesthetic and political possibilities that any nation has ever had before it.